25% of the world's population lives in substandard housing. 100 million in the world have no housing at all. 10 million Americans lack adequate housing.
That's how serious the problem is. By the year 2000, actually, we have to build about 7.5 million new houses in order to meet the trend that we see right now.
With such a staggering proportion of our world shackled in poverty, we cannot, in good conscience, turn our eyes away. In fact, we would do well to contemplate the daily life of such suffering. Imagine, if you will, being imprisoned in their world. The cold dampness penetrates your family to the bone, and the freezing winter slices through broken walls. The stench of raw sewage is ever present, and your family's dreams for a happy life seem so far away. What is your future but a bitter war to survive just one more day?
Everybody ought to have a home. Everybody ought to have at least a simple, decent place in which to live. The challenge is this: to end poverty, housing, and homelessness. We want no more shacks in our land.
But the great thing about Habitat for Humanity, you know how the system works. That the money that is put into building one house doesn't just build one house. It builds house after house after house after house. There is a geometric progression. I don't know what that means, but that's what they told me there is. There is a geometric progression.
The powerful vision of eliminating poverty housing from the face of the earth began with Millard and Linda Fuller, along with a group of concerned Christian friends. Together, they founded a movement in 1976 called Habitat for Humanity.
We in Habitat for Humanity feel that everybody ought to have at least a simple, decent house. I was reading from the 15th chapter of Deuteronomy in our devotional here this morning. And there in that 15th chapter it says, the poor shall always be with you. But it's not a period after that. There's a semicolon. It says, therefore, open your hand to your poor brother and freely give to him whatever he needs. And so we will have the poor among us. But since that's the case, what do? Do you harden your heart? The Bible says no, just the opposite. Do not harden your heart. Don't close your fist up to your poor brother or your poor sister, but open your hand and freely share with them in whatever it is they lack.
1/4 of the world's population, 1.5 billion people, are faced with a grim reality every new day. Little or no decent shelter for themselves and their families. For most of these people, the struggle for adequate shelter seems endless. Inadequate human shelter adversely affects both the physical and mental health of a family. Constant battles with weather and illness erode meager resources. The entire social development of a family can be stunted and corrupted by substandard human habitat. Family relationships decay, educational opportunities slip away unrealized, and worst of all, bad housing surrounds a family with hopelessness. Can you and I help? Is there an answer to the problem of substandard housing around the world? Yes, there is. Partnership. People reaching out to other people. People working side by side. People sharing their resources of time, talent, and capital. People actively caring for one another. This partnership is being realized right now in the work of Habitat for Humanity. Through a strong commitment to working with those in need, Habitat strives to give a hand up, not a handout. Using the unique concept of no-profit, no-interest mortgages in conjunction with a partnership building program, Habitat is making decent shelter a reality for those who have never had that basic need met. The program works all over the world, from South Georgia to New York, from Guatemala to Peru, from Haiti to Zaire and on to Papua New Guinea and the Solomon Islands. People are working together helping to alleviate the problem of inadequate housing. Habitat is not a charity program. Throughout the world, people living in Habitat houses pay for the houses over the length of a no-interest mortgage. The house payments go into a local revolving fund to help build, renovate, or repair more houses. Homeowners contribute many hours of sweat equity in building their own house or their neighbor's house, or they do other support work at the local project. This involvement in the financial responsibility of home ownership, as well as participation in the planning and construction of their home, provides the needy with dignity, self-confidence, and self-reliance. Habitat's goal is to build new lives and relationships as well as houses. Only then can poverty's stranglehold be broken.
I'm Marge Bergen with the local Habitat for Humanity Board of Directors, and with me is Roland Freeman, and he is our project coordinator, the major building guy that we have here in Habitat that coordinates all of our projects, and currently this summer we have 2 houses being built. Roland, tell us about your job.
Well, I got the privilege of working with a whole lot of committed volunteers that are able to organize themselves for short periods of time and finish tasks and go on. It's a whole lot different from the kind of construction I'm used to doing, where we have people that we have to almost beat into place and bribe with whole lots of money to get them to work. Here I got people that it's hard to keep ahead of, hard to keep work lined ahead out of them, and that work with a lot of joy, a lot of friendliness for each other, looking out for each other, and doing something that's bigger than themselves, and it makes it a privilege for everybody involved. It takes a power greater than apparently the dollar to make people do things like this, and the only thing I can identify is that true miracle of Christian love that comes through when we work out here.
Okay, hi, I'm Fran Higginbotham from First Presbyterian Church in Missoula, Montana, and I came out a couple of weeks in a row with high schoolers from the Presbyterian Church and had a wonderful work crew. The first week I was out here, they suggested I put windows in, and I had never put a window in, but after an hour or so, you know how to put a window in. So regardless of how you feel you work with houses, there's always someone out here to teach you and train you how to do it. It's a great experience, and when you leave, you have a wonderful experience of helping someone else.
My name is Chu Shong Lee. I am the Lee family. So I'm pretty happy. I got a new home, real nice. It will be coming pretty soon. And thanks for the people to help me build this house. And I think in the future, everybody like it, and they will need a new home like that.
Welcome home. How does this Habitat for Humanity work, Sally?
Well, it works, Rob, because there are these wonderful and dedicated volunteers who actually dedicate their time and their resources and labor to this project, and they actually build the homes.
Habitat for Humanity is a catchy phrase, one linked with Jimmy and Rosalind Carter, its most famous volunteers. Habitat for Humanity volunteers build good, plain houses for people who have none, who live in hovels, and who would never have decent shelter if it weren't for Habitat.
The true workforce of Habitat for Humanity is ordinary people from all walks of life who have recognized the poverty housing crisis and who want to do something about it.
What Habitat tries to do is to dramatize the fact that we, first of all, have a serious housing problem. Secondly, that it's not a hopeless problem, that you can do something about it. And a lot of people sit around, you know, in a nice, sometimes very large church and say, what can we do to be good Christians? Well, the fact is that there's no large church in this nation that couldn't build 5 or 6 homes for poor people every year and have a very exciting and adventurous and gratifying experience. And even a small church can build 1 or 2 houses a year, or either rehabilitate an old one. If all the churches did that, if all the Christians and members of synagogues would do that in a year, it would just totally transform the problem of housing and homelessness in the United States.
I spent 6 years chipping away at a master's in New Testament studies, and all the hours preparing my mind and writing papers, and even now writing sermons, doesn't compare to all that I'm learning and teaching the young people about theology. There's nothing that compares to doing theology, and that's what they're learning. They're understanding what it means to put love into action.
In Atlanta, the second Jimmy Carter Work Project of the summer was giving rise to 20 new homes as the result of a massive partnership effort. Bruce Gunter, head of Atlanta's Jimmy Carter Work Project, explains.
The concept of a partnership in Habitat has everything to do with what Habitat's about. We build a lot of houses, and that's what people write about. What they don't write about, but what is the true essence of Habitat, is a partnership between people from various backgrounds, different locales, different income levels, different colors, like nothing else I've ever been involved with. It pulls people, those kind of folks together in a partnership of mutual concern and respect for one another.
It's been a learning experience. It's a lot different from teaching 3rd grade.
And for me, it's a lot different than developing land at home. This is where it's really happening. It's great. It's a good experience. It feels good.
Habitat uses the resources of ordinary people, but the joy of building with the poor does excite the participation of people with large resources. Real estate developer John Whelan is a perfect example.
Our basic business is really housing for the affluent, and I just don't find that personally satisfactory. To me, we need housing for everybody, and this is just part of our effort at housing for everybody. I think Habitat is addressing that, and it needs to continue, and everybody that can participate and support, God bless them.
I've been looking for an opportunity to get involved in doing something with these houses, and then when she went on a donut break, I stole her brush.
Houses are places in which people dream dreams. Oh, they're special for that reason. People dream of living in a place where their children will not get diseases. They dream of living in places where their friends can visit and where they can hold their heads up. They dream of a better life than the one that they are presently experiencing.
I'm Millie Cooper. I'm here with Carol Mack and her family. Let's have you introduce yourself.
I'm Karina Mack.
Karina, what's your name?
Miles.
Miles. And we're standing in front of Carol's new home, and we want to get a little information about how Carol went about applying, and why she applied, and tell me what your situation was like. What inspired you?
What inspired me was a meeting that they had here at the Head Start school office. I went to an evening meeting where a group of about 40 families were interested in finding more about Habitat for Humanity. And they pretty much explained to us that they were intending on building houses for low-income families that just had a hard time getting credit. And I went, well, gee, I live here, and my utility bills are enormous, my rent's enormous, maybe I should apply. So I put my name down and filled out a little form with a bit of information. This all started on June 11th, we had groundbreaking. I started working on the yard because we didn't have the building permit yet and stuff, but I started cleaning up the knapweed. rearranging the rocks, you know, doing things around here.
Which means that you're doing an awful lot of work on your own home.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. I've spent around 800 hours here in the past couple months.
I'm John Torma, the project coordinator for this particular project for Habitat for Humanity. I'm the one who's trying to keep things coordinated here with all the wonderful help that we've gotten. We've had carpenters, people who have been experienced carpenters, people who have occasionally had hammers in their hand, and people who have done it for the first time. And all of those skills, all of those levels of talent are very, very useful.
From a small beginning here in Sumter County in southwest Georgia, the idea of Habitat has literally exploded all over the United States and Canada and to many other countries around the world. Countries like Zaire and Uganda and Kenya and Africa and the Dominican Republic and Haiti and the Caribbean, Central America, South America, the Pacific. It's just growing everywhere. Currently, we are starting new cities at the rate of about 1 every 2 days. And if that rate continues, and we fully expect it to, we should be in a total of 60 countries around the world by 1996, and right in the United States and Canada in 2,000 cities.
People are as old as their cynicism and as young as their dreams. And it must be tiring for you to go to colleges and talk to 21-year-old cynics who listen to you, and when they ask you, well, how many houses do you want to build? That's what they always ask. And he says, I've heard him say it, well, I want to go on building houses until every person on the planet has a house to live in with dignity. And they all go, and they think he's just, you know, overstating the case. This little kid believes it. He believes it can happen. The curious thing.
The most powerful force in the world is love. Habitat for Humanity is harnessing that great force and that great power as we go all over the world, building, renovating, repairing houses, so that people can have a simple, decent place in which to live. As more and more people get involved in this great venture of faith, in this movement of God's love in action, we will approach ever more closely the realization of our goal, which is a world in which there are no homeless people, no shacks, no people hovering behind uninsulated walls and under a roof that leaks. But it takes appropriating that power of love. It takes people willing to reach out and venture out in faith and in love. But as more people do so, we will approach that day when we realize what Jesus taught us to pray in his great Lord's Prayer. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. We know there are no shacks in heaven, no homeless people. And as we work together, we can have it like that on earth, so that one day, all of God's people, everybody, the whole crowd, will have at least a simple, decent place in which to live.
Habitat for Humanity, for me, is, I think, Christ's message in action, as it is, I'm sure, for all the people who work here. It's a very uplifting, community-building type of service that I think Christ's message is all about. And I would encourage and welcome anybody in the community who feels they have a talent to give to help provide homes for those who need them, to contact Habitat for Humanity and help us build more homes like this in the Missoula community.